My name is Peter Davison. I played the Fifth Doctor, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls.
The tangents we continue all the way to episode 193 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And over the course of the weekend, I sang a song from Blue's Clues, talked superheroes, and danced with a drag queen. Do I have your attention yet? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem. This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Brittany is back from her vacation.
Yes.
A little redder than when she left, but thankfully this is audio only, so.
Yes. And there's no movement required.
Yes, she can just sit there and not think about the sunburn. And Chrissy is at work, so she sends her regards though, and hopes that she'll join us next week. So, actually, this show's probably going to be rather short, so but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all about quality, not quantity. That's what we aim for here. So. First things first, just a little bit of news. First, some 10 o'clock news. Some unfortunate 10 o'clock news. Steve Ditko, who helped co-create, among others, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange for Marvel Comics, who was an artist, has died at the age of 90. So he, along with Stan Lee, helped create Spider-Man, and then after that, he created a lot of other Spider-Man characters too, like Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, Green Goblin, and then later he helped create Doctor Strange. And then he continued to work in comics till him and Stan Lee had a falling out, which, depending on who you believe, could have been a number of reasons that we won't get into, just because, it's all he said, they said, that sort of thing. But then he worked on other comics. He worked at DC for a while, and he came back to Marvel for a while, and then after a while he just kind of became a hermit. From what I understand, from what I read, he just kind of stayed to himself at home and didn't do interviews and that sort of thing. So he just had a few close friends that he kept in touch with. So, but 90 years old, that's a good long life. So, and of course, his creations live on both in comic book form and TV form and movie form and all those things. So that is the silver lining, I guess. So that's our piece of 10 o'clock news, and then our only other piece of news is piece of convention news. From Salt Lake Fan X, they were teasing all last week that they had a really big guest announcement, and I saw that, and I'm like, we've already got David Tennant. I mean, how much bigger can you get than David Tennant? And in my personal opinion, I still think David Tennant is the bigger star compared to this guest announcement. But I guess if you're a fan, you can go to Salt Lake Fan X later this year and meet Ben Affleck.
The movie version Daredevil.
Yes. The current Batman, depending on what story you believe. It seems like every other week, Ben Affleck's leaving, playing Batman. No, Ben Affleck says he's staying. He's leaving, he's staying. So, figure that out.
If they decide you are or you aren't.
Yes. So, there you go. So, I guess if David Tennant isn't your thing, you could meet Ben Affleck. I would be like, oh, yeah, that's that one guy. David! So.
Yeah. And no, we don't know if Matt Damon is going to be showing up.
Yeah. Honestly, of the two, I'd be more excited for Matt Damon. So, there you go. Salt Lake, Phoenix, Ben Affleck. I don't even want to think about how much he's going to cost.
Yeah.
Because I know how much David Tennant runs, and I'm guessing Ben Affleck's going to be even more.
Somewhere between ouch and boing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somewhere between, do I really need both kidneys? And do I really need my spleen, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any way for me to get my gallbladder back so I can sell it to someone on the black market? It's only been 4 years. I can dig it out of the trash somewhere. Anyway. So, there's that. And that's it for news, actually. It's been very quiet. All quiet on the Western Front, but considering Fandom Christmas is in 2 weeks,
Oh, jeez.
that's
right.
That's to
Yeah.
be expected. So, yes, Fandom Christmas is in 2 weeks.
The summer is flying by.
Yes. So, with that, we shall move on to my recap of InConJunction.
Yes.
So-
How would it go, Rachel? You sound voice pretty much intact.
I sound okay, which is good. Mostly because other than the panels, I really didn't do a whole lot of talking. Not a lot of socializing like at some other conventions. There's just not a lot of people. This is a very chill, low-key convention for as long as it's been around, because this was number 38, I think.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if it's been 38 years in a row, but this was number 38. Still,
that's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah. But for being such a long-running convention, it is very small, which is not necessarily a bad thing. After PopCon and knowing that Gen Con is in like 3 weeks, I will take a very small con. Thank you very much. But yeah, it was a good time, at least the time that I was there. Thankfully, because it was so chill and laid back that I could just kind of come and go as I please. I was only there, I only went Friday and Saturday. By Sunday, I was still just absolutely exhausted. So I kind of made it called an audible when I woke up Sunday, because going home Saturday night, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm just going to see how I feel. And I, let myself sleep. And when I woke up and took a mental check of myself, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting up. Which I could do that because I didn't have any commitments on Sunday at the convention. I didn't have any panels or anything. And I wasn't tabling at the convention this year like I did last year, which ended up being a good thing. When I filled out the profile on their website for the so that I could be like, yeah, I'm interested in helping out with these panels and that sort of thing. I filled out that part, but not the part for table applications. I thought I'd filled it out. Then when I looked, I realized I hadn't. Which ended up being a good thing, because if I had been tied to a table, I would have been there all 3 days. All day, all 3 days, and I probably would be dead.
So it was a good oops.
Yeah, so it was a good oops on my part. That being said, I was there late, as mentioned last week when I was talking about my schedule for this particular convention. Because in the process of saying, yes, I'm interested in these being in helping out with any of these panels, the little check boxes for these are the times I'm available, I checked off all the time slots, and that included the middle of the night time slots. So I ended up with a panel at 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh, it's early.
Yeah, or very late, depending on how you look at it. So, but it worked out all right, so I can't really complain too much, I think. But I will not be doing that again next year. If I can help it. I mean, I know, I'm sure the way they do things is, they open it up for panel submissions, and people can submit their panel ideas. And then they get the applications from people saying, yes, I'm willing to help out and be on panels. And then sometimes they'll let you pick, it's like these panels based on the descriptions, I would be interested in helping. And then they look, and then you also fill out what times of day you would be available, what time slots you would be available. And from there they mix and match, saying, well, we've got these people that would be interested in doing this panel, and they are all available these particular time slots, so we can put the panel in this time slot and know that these people will show up, in theory. So I'm sure it's a lot of mixing and matching on their parts, but it's kind of cool though too, because you can end up on a panel with people that you don't know, which can be kind of awkward, but for the most part, because they'll send you like your schedule, be like, you're going to be on these panels at this time, and here are the other people, and here are the email addresses, so that you can email people ahead of time. In my case, one of the panels, there was a scheduling issue, and I ended up double booked, so I never actually got once they fixed that, I never actually got the email addresses for the people in that one panel that I was double booked against, but it ended up being that there was one gal who was on all 3 panels that I was on. So I was able to connect with her and be like, have you heard anything from the other person for this panel? She's like, no, but I've talked to people who've done panels with him before, and this is the way he generally does things. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it is a different way of doing things than other conventions. Like PopCon, like you submit like your panel, like name and description and everything, and they're like, okay, great, here's your date and time and room location for your panel. Who are the other panelists? You have to find your panelists. So it's like, if you're going to do something with your friends, you just need to let them know, and then they could put in the program, that sort of thing. But InConJunction,
if you had a group of friends, chances might be no.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. With InConJunction, I mean, if you've got specific people that you wanted to be on your panel with you that you know are going to be there, you could probably tell them when you submit the panel information.
Gotcha.
I would assume. But I've only submitted a panel to them once last year, and I didn't have necessarily anybody in mind to be on the panel with me, so it just kind of worked out the way it worked out. But Friday was obviously first day of the con. It didn't start until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which, considering how late I was there, that was good. Let's get the schedule here. So panels started like right away. on Friday, so you could just start going to panels and stuff before they even got to opening ceremonies. So I did catch part of the Star Trek, the original series, the worst of the worst panel. It's been a long time since I watched anything from Star Trek, the original series. So they kept talking about these different episodes, and I'm like, I don't remember that one. I think I almost need to go back and rewatch the original series, I think. But it was fun, because it was definitely a lively discussion for the folks that actually remember these particular episodes. And then to fill in some time before opening ceremonies, I went and grabbed dinner, and then also caught most of the screening of Shada, because they had one room where most of the weekend they show episodes of Doctor Who. If you get into like the really early morning and really late hours, they'll show other things. But for the most part, it's just Doctor Who, a little bit of Sarah Jane Adventures, a little bit of Torchwood. But they did show Shada. It was on DVD, but on DVD it's the VHS version.
Right.
And the gentleman running the room said next year he's going to bring the animated, the one with the animated.
Eighth Doctor.
No, the whatever most recent version of Shada they just
Okay.
they just released with
Okay, I think that comes out in September for us stateside.
Yeah. So that's why he said he'll bring it next year. But that was fun. It's been a while since I've seen Shada. I'll be interested to see the animated reconstruction, because the VHS version is essentially Tom Baker narrating like he is the Doctor. Mm-hmm. So he'll refer to himself, as the Doctor. And it's still hard to follow. The story's still kind of hard to follow, even with Tom's narration. I did think of something interesting though, because that particular version of Shada, it starts with Tom appearing in a museum that's full of like Doctor Who costumes and monster props. There's like a Dalek and Cybermen and that sort of thing. And he's looking around. He's like, I've always felt at home in a museum. And I'm like, I wonder if him being the curator in Day of the Doctor is maybe a nod to that.
I wouldn't be too surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah. So if for anything else, I got that little nugget in there. So then I went to opening ceremonies, which is quite interesting and fun. They got an MC that they introduced like the guests of honor. There's always an author guest of honor, an artist guest of honor, cosplay guest of honor. So they introduce those folks and kind of get people hyped up. And I think he said last year or 2 years ago, to kind of get the audience, the people there, excited about talking about fandoms and stuff. They did a bracket of what was it? Not apocalyptic. Dystopian, maybe it was both. It was like they did like a bracket of like apocalyptic / dystopian movies, or stories to find out, you know, which one was everybody's favorite. And what they do is the guy he has a bracket, and they just do it by audience, like clapping and cheering, and then they go through the bracket, and then they go through the bracket again until eventually there's one winner. But this year the bracket was robots. Sci-fi and fantasy robots, not androids, or, well, I guess androids. It couldn't be like, you couldn't be someone who was like human and had been augmented.
Okay.
So they had to be purely mechanical.
So Data's pretty much out.
No, actually, Data was included.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, because he wasn't human first.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah.
You couldn't be. You couldn't be human first.
Gotcha. So you couldn't be like 7 of 9.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did and I guess he like just got like a list of them and filled in the bracket randomly, and then just went through the different team ups, and then the audience would clap and cheer for their favorite, and if there seemed to be one that was close, they'd have the guests of honor would be the tiebreaker. And I only knew, I don't know how many he started with. I think like 32, I think, is what he started with. And there was a number of them that I didn't know. But it ended up getting down to the final 4 was BB-8, Marvin the Paranoid Android, K9, and the blue Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
Oh, wow.
Seriously?
Oofda.
Yeah, so that was our final 4, and then it got down to the championship matchup was Marvin versus K9.
Oh, boy.
Yes, and then K9 ended up winning.
Yay!
So that made me happy.
I was gonna say, of those 4, I would have cheered for like 3 of them. So it'd been like, I don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been BB-8, K9, and
Marvin.
Yeah.
Marvin, yep.
Yeah. So, and BB-8 beat out several big names too to get to the final 4. His first matchup was BB-8 versus Optimus Prime.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
And then he
Way to
beat
go, BB-8.
and then BB-8 beat Bender from Futurama. K9, I don't remember which round it was in, but K9 beat R2-D2
Oh.
in one of the rounds. And then in the second round, it ended up a matchup between Ultron and the T-1000. And apparently the audience didn't like either of those, so he ended up throwing them out and replacing them with the red and blue Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Wow.
Ah, I was like wondering, like,
That's surprising.
Because it was like Ultron and the T-1000, the audience was just like, for both of them. So
Yikes.
I was like, okay. Well, but K9 reigns supreme, so that's all that really matters. So, yay, K9!
you sure
Good
Keith wasn't
boy.
there cheering the loudest?
Yeah, really. Should have called Keith. Keith, cheer over the phone. And then they finished up the opening ceremonies with a puppet play called The Dark Convention, and it told the story of a fanboy and a fangirl on their way to InConJunction. But they include a lot of like tropes, like convention tropes and that sort of thing. So it was pretty funny. Let's see. And then after opening ceremonies was the panel with the author guest of honor that I sat in on was called Conlanging for, well, it wasn't his panel that he got pulled in. I guess it was somebody else that proposed it, but it's something relevant to him. So the panel was called Conlanging for Fun and Profit. The other panel person ended up not showing up, and it was just me and one other lady in the room. So he just pulled up a chair in front of us, and we just kind of chatted for almost an hour. But the author guest of honor was J.M. Lee, who is he is a author, obviously, but he currently writes the Boxcar Children book series, but the reason that he was at InConJunction is because he is the official, or he is the author of the official novel prequels to The Dark Crystal.
Cool.
And he is also a staff writer and consultant on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Netflix series that is currently in production. But he, in working on the Netflix series, was helping them develop the languages. I guess it was just language for. I've never actually seen The Dark Crystal, so I don't know. I don't know much about it.
It's been a while for me. Like, I watched it when I was really little.
I know it's one of those ones that it's like, you dummy, why have you not seen this? It's not for the Gelflings, I don't think. I don't think it's the. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the language for the Gelflings. No, Podlings. It's the language for the Podlings. Is what he's helped them develop. So he got to tell us stories, some stories about that and the way he worked developing the language, and because he said there's only 3 people in like Hollywood or like the entertainment industry in like the United States or whatever that are qualified to, like, I'm not necessarily like qualified, but officially are like the go-to people for made-up languages for media. So movies, TV shows. So it's a very, very small community of folks that work on stuff like that. And he like knows the guy that does make sure that like things like the Dothraki and High Valyrian on Game of Thrones is accurate and all that stuff. So it was an interesting conversation.
I didn't even know they had like official experts on that. Like I always thought
there's just a small number of people. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because he was saying, I guess, like what the Dark Crystal movie, the one from the 80s, like any non-English that you hear, what did he say? It was not Belgian. It's not a European language. Bosnian.
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
I guess they just had like somebody on staff that spoke Bosnian, and they figure nobody knows Bosnian except for this person, so we'll just have them speak Bosnian. Nobody will know. And of course, all these years later, people are like, yeah, that's not appropriate. So this time around, they're actually, developing actual languages for some of these characters in the Netflix series. So that was pretty cool. And then I went to watch the the drag race. The cosplay guest of honor, Oriana Perron's drag race, which I've actually seen and met Oriana a few times at other conventions. She's a drag queen. She's actually based out of Bloomington, and actually is friends with Beth from work, who we've had on the show. But if you've ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race, essentially the same thing, but it was Oriana Perron's drag race. So it was, she hosted, and then it was 2 teams of 2, and they had to do things like, they had to lip sync for their lives. They had to come up with a like Sailor Scout costume with a big old pile of like fabric and ribbon and stuff that she brought with her, with no tape, no scissors, no glue, nothing. And in between the like games for the contestants, either Oriana would perform a drag performance, or her protege Ginger would perform, and it was quite entertaining. So I've never got to see a drag performance in person before, and it was quite fun. And there was definitely folks in the audience that were familiar with the culture and the way performances go. So they were quite into it, and it's always fun. The drag queens, their costumes are always fabulous, as they should be. And Oriana had, I don't know how many costume changes in the couple of hours. And Ginger had several as well.
That must have been so cool to see in person.
Yes, it was quite fun. It was quite fun. So, but yeah, there was a chance for, she wanted the audience to get up and dance to help pass the time while we were waiting on the teams to finish their tasks. So we're all standing up and in the aisles and just kind of shaking our booties and clapping along to the music and that sort of thing. So it was quite entertaining. So that was quite fun. And then I think I went and found a corner and just kind of sat for a little bit near an outlet, plug in the phone, let it charge, that sort of thing. Have a midnight snack, literally, because it was like midnight. And then at 1 a.m. was my first panel, which was the 90s Were All That. Which, all things considering, the fact that it was 1 a.m., all the panelists showed up, all 3 of us, which is good, and we had 5 people in the audience. Which at 1 a.m. is quite an accomplishment, I would think. So we did our panel. The guy that submitted this panel, he's done it a couple of times at other conventions. So he knew exactly what he was doing, and it's almost, he does it kind of a name that tune type format. So he's got short clips from the theme songs from different 90s Nickelodeon Cartoon Network shows, and then the audience has to guess which show it is, and then they guess, and then we tell them if they got the right answer, and then we talk about the show for however long, and then we move on. And I think, how many were in I don't remember how many shows were in the PowerPoint. It was a good number. I did not know all of them. Some of them I knew, but didn't watch. Some of them I had never heard of before. And then some of them I absolutely, positively knew really well. Like All That. Which was one of my personal favorites. Let's see, what other shows were included? Powerpuff Girls. Dexter's Laboratory. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Legends of the Hidden Temple. Cat Dog. Clarissa Explains It All. Salute Your Shorts. Blue's Clues, which is how I ended up singing the mail song from Blue's Clues. Because I was like, y'all confess, when you go get your mail out the mailbox, every now and then you will break out into the mail song from Blue's Clues. You know you do. Maybe not every time, but every once in a while. So, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Johnny Bravo.
Oh goodness.
Kenan and Kel, which I knew Kenan and Kel was in the slideshow, so I went and brought a bottle of orange soda to the panel. It's like, we can't talk Kenan and Kel and me not make this reference. So that was fun. And by then it was 2 a.m. and I went home. And I was very tired. Thankfully, I did not have to be back until Saturday afternoon. So I had that going for me, which is good. Even though I could have stuck around. Ours was the last panel, scheduled panel. There were actually 2 at midnight. So it's like we weren't the only ones that were still up. And then things like the Doctor Who screening room went until I think like 4 or 5 in the morning, and then only shut down for a few hours and then started up again. So if I had wanted to, I could have stayed and watched Partners in Crime at 5 a.m. if I'd really wanted to. So, but I didn't. I went home and went to sleep. But I was back Saturday afternoon and went to the 80s fantasy movie trivia panel, and that was again hosted by J.M. Lee, because obviously working on the Dark Crystal, kind of have to be a fan of 80s fantasies things, and they he put us into teams. We ended up with 3 teams with like 5 or 6 people apiece. And there were 15 questions about different 80 fantasy movies. And the team I was on ended up winning.
Nice.
So we got 13 out of 15 right. So there was
very nice.
Yeah, there was only one question that we had no idea what the answer was, and then one question where we answered it, but we got it wrong. So, which if I had to do this on my own, I would have got 3, 4, 5 of them right, I think. So,
I don't know how well I do love 80s fantasy, but I don't know how well I would do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there were several that they were, some of them, the questions were not necessarily about something that maybe happened in the movie, but just something related to that movie. Like, how old was, brain fart, crap, what's his name from all those movies? Dang it. Willow.
Phil Kimmel?
No.
Oh.
I try not to be culturally insensitive. The short guy.
Shoot, no.
I can see him in my head.
Warwick Davis.
Yes, Warwick Davis. How old was
Yes.
Warwick Davis when he was in Willow?
Ooh.
Yeah.
You would have been what? Ooh.
Yeah. He was
youngish.
He was 17.
I was gonna say 18, so I was close.
Yes, he was
So, like,
17.
I knew he was young because he wasn't that old with Star Wars, and that was like right after Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, he's not that old now, so it's like, do the math. It's like, so it's like, minute I need to think of someone's name, right out the brain. Told you I'm tired. So, but that was fun to win that. We didn't win anything other than bragging rights, but hey, we still won. So got that going for us. And then I had my second panel, which was the superhero universe, which was really just a chance for fans of superhero media to get a chance to sit around and see how our heroes are doing at the moment. Which, if you're a fan of the MCU, not so hot.
Not really.
Check your dustbuster.
Could be doing better. But that was a fun conversation. I will say that they had an okay turnout for that particular panel. The room was not labeled very well. It was kind of hard to find. InConJunction, they put signs outside all their rooms with whatever name they're using for the rooms. But part of the problem is like it showed on their map where the room was located. And then if you compared it to the map from the actual hotel, well, in the InConJunction program, it would tell you like the name of their room, and then also the name that the hotel actually calls it. So it's like, the room that's the main events hall for InConJunction is actually Grand Ballroom 1 through 4 at this particular hotel. So this panel was in events 4, which according to their map, the hotel calls that room Reagan and Kennedy. However, on the actual hotel map that hotels have up on the walls showing where like the fire exits are and everything, it just said private dining room. It didn't say Reagan Kennedy. So we some of us struggled to find it, which was not good. So, and
especially
even
if you're the one as part of the panel.
Yes. But yeah, that was kind of a pain. So hopefully they fix that next year and make sure everything matches up as far as room labels. And then I went and got dinner, because by then I was starving. So I went and got food, brought it back with me, and sat back in the Doctor Who screening room and watched the two doctors. Because if my doctor's on the screen, one, I'm not going to skip it. Second of all, it's one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who ever. But I don't care because I love it.
Because when it came out, I'm just like, is it Time Lash or a different 6 episode?
It's like, it's so ridiculous, you know, with the anagrams and the Doctor, you know, them turning the second Doctor into an anagram, and it's starting to get through the regeneration so that the sixth Doctor suddenly wants to eat a stray cat. It's just, it's just ridiculous. And the Sontarans look terrible. It's just bad Doctor Who, but it's my Doctor, and it's a multi-Doctor story on top of it.
Yep.
So it's the sixth
And
Doctor with
Doctor
Patrick
Who is
Troughton's
the
Doctor. So, and, you know, Jamie, so you got Fraser Hines, and all of his Scottish goodness, and, you know, no offense to Nicola Bryant, but Perry is absolutely useless in this particular story, which is frustrating to all get on, but whatever. But it was just like, yeah, I'm going to sit here and eat my chicken and watch the two doctors. And I was just, I was as happy.
Lifting. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I was like, I was as happy as a pig in slop at that time. I was like, yes, give me more, give me more. And then the screening room was actually ahead of schedule a little bit. So he tried to, fill in some of the time. We tried to watch Curse of the Fatal Death. Unfortunately, his DVD copy has gone bad. So it ended up freezing and we didn't get to finish it.
No, darn.
Yeah. Because there were some people that had never seen it. So I was like, oh, Curse of the Fatal Death. And it's like, oh, no, dang it. So I ended up finding some other things that that weren't necessarily Doctor Who. It was more like other BBC programming that references Doctor Who. And then he ended up showing if you've ever seen it, I'll make sure to link it in the show notes. It's a fan video. It's called 10th Doctor the Musical.
Oh, cool.
Which I've seen a bajillion times. So I was like, yay, I know this video. And then, let's see. After that was, by the time that finished, it was time for the Masquerade, which either they did not have a lot of entries or they started early. Because I got into the room just a little after 8 o'clock, and they were on like the last contestant and getting ready to do the awards. So it was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. So I think maybe they started early. So I got to see the winners. So, which was fun. And they did some raffle prizes, gave away some raffle prizes while the judges were conferring their decisions. So they do, InConJunction does a lot of, they try to do charity work along with the convention with a number of things, and one of their things is you can, if you come and donate books you don't want anymore, you'll get raffle tickets, and they take the books and they donate them to some literary center for like underprivileged kids. So for each book that you donate, you get a raffle ticket. So the gal that was behind me in the audience, I don't know how many books she said she donated, but she ended up winning like 5 prizes. From the raffle. Cause she had
well, we know she at least donated 5 books for sure.
Yeah, because her numbers kept getting pulled because she had a ton of tickets in the in the raffles. So it was funny. After a while, they call a number, and I could just see other people in the audience. Their heads would turn and look in her direction.
Like, you standing up or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah. Which is all in good fun. So
Mm-hmm.
it's for a good cause, and she won some stuff. And I was like, you got birthdays or Christmas or something? She's like, I got a ton of nieces and nephews. I'm like, well, you're good then. So, and then I had my last panel, which was Geek Girls Unite Beyond Wonder Woman, which was a chance for us to talk about superheroes that aren't straight, white, and male. And we got an hour and a half for this panel, mostly because Tammy Jo Eckhart, who was one of the guests, and actually I interviewed her last year at the same convention. If you listen to last year's recap, you can hear my interview with her. But she's an author, and she's done this particular panel. It's always Geek Girls Unite with a different subtitle, so different topic, specific topic. And one of the showrunners said, he's like, yeah, I saw that come through, and I saw it had Tammy Jo's name attached to it, so it's like, yeah, I gave her an hour and a half. So, cool. And we needed it too, because the Tammy Jo, that was actually one panel where we actually got to email each other ahead of time, and Tammy Jo actually emailed both of us and was like, this is what I'm thinking for the panel. Which superheroes would you want to see be included? So we each got to add to the PowerPoint, and then she'd clean it up a little and format it so it all matched and that sort of thing. So and of course, me being the Marvel person, I was like, Marvel! And then the other gal was more of a DC person, so she shared a lot of DC superheroes. But it gave me a chance to talk about Daisy Johnson and Yo-Yo and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. So that was fun. There were several that I was familiar with. Supergirl, the Martian Manhunter, several of the Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow is very diverse in their cast. Black Lightning, that sort of thing. So there were a couple that I had never heard of, from properties that I'd never heard of. But overall, it was a really good discussion, and I'm excited to see what Tammy Jo comes up with next year. Maybe I'll get to be on the panel next year. Who knows? And then the last panel I went to was actually one of Tammy Jo's that she does every year. Another one she does every year, which is best books read since the previous InConJunction. So last year it was best books you read since InConJunction 2016. So this year it was best books you've read since InConJunction 2017. And they don't have to be books that came out in the last year. They just have to be books that you read since the last convention. So, which Tammy Jo gave us a printout with the title and authors for all the books that she included, and then gave the audience a chance to give their 2 cents on anything that they've read. So I'll put the list in the show notes, and then people can look for them at their local library or Amazon, use our affiliate link. If you do decide to buy any of those books off of Amazon, and you can maybe find some new books to read. There's a couple that sounded interesting. I put little stars next to it. I'm like, oh, check my local library and see if they have them, and then I can check them out and see if I like them, that sort of thing. So, and then I went home because I was very, very tired. Again, because at this point it was like 11 o'clock at night. So.
Rachel is a very busy girl.
Yes, Rachel was a very busy girl and very tired. So, and like I said, I did not go back on Sunday. So, but I still had fun. It was like I said, it was a good chill weekend. Quiet, easy to navigate. You know, the hotel is not very big. You know, aside from the room labeling issues, a hotel is just so small that you're not doing a bunch of unnecessary walking. You know, there's plenty of places to sit, although the chairs are not the most comfortable, but that's not InConJunction's fault. That's just hotel furniture. You know. And it's in an easy enough location to get to. It's the Marriott East, which is 21st and Shadelands, the east side of Indianapolis. Although with the current construction going on the interstate, depending on which direction you're coming from, that kind of be a pain in the butt. But since that'll be done by the time InConJunction rolls around next year, that shouldn't be a problem. For me, it is fairly easy to get to. There's plenty of parking. It's free parking whether you're staying at the hotel or not. If you don't want to stay at that hotel, there are 2 other hotels, one on each side of that hotel. So if you want to stay in the area, you can. Excuse me. There's plenty of places to eat. Not necessarily at the hotel. The hotel just has the one restaurant and bar, which I've never actually eaten there, so I don't know how good the food is and whether it's reasonably priced or not. I just left because it was easy enough to hop in my car, go. Shadeland is a pretty well-populated street in Indianapolis that's got McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Arby's, Subway, you know, a couple of gas stations. If you want something a little nicer, there's a Texas Roadhouse, Taco Bell, that sort of thing. So it's easy enough to leave, go get food that's reasonably priced, and either eat there or bring it back. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints with the convention. Any other like I said, other than the one room labeling issue, I was perfectly content with the way the weekend went. Any other issues are purely my fault for not paying attention to what I'm filling out on paperwork. So I will not make that mistake again next year. So I do have ideas for panels to submit for next year, though. So depending on what happens, maybe I'll have to do a panel at 1 a.m. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see what happens. Got plenty of time between now and next year's convention. Although, if you want to plan ahead, they do have next year's dates. Next year's convention will be July 5th through 7th, 2019. Same location, the Indianapolis Marriott East. And the theme for next year, because this year's theme was, let me find it so I can get it right. I can't find it. I saw it a little bit ago. I lost it. Oh, Fantastic Worlds Await. That was this year's theme. Next year's theme for InConJunction 39 is All These Worlds Are Our Stage. So, plan ahead, I guess, if you want to attend next year. So, yeah. So that was my weekend at InConJunction. And now I can chill for like half a second. I chilled yesterday, and then today I'm right back at it, getting ready for Gen Con. So, that was what I was doing earlier today, and what I will be doing for the next several weeks is Gen Con prep. Because the emails from the different gaming companies saying, hey, come to booth blah blah blah, and come check out these new games, are rolling in. Rather quickly, and it's like herding cats trying to keep everything straight. Because it's like I've got, presentations and panels I would like to attend, but at the same time I would like to talk to some gaming companies, depending on what it is that they're bringing, if it seems interesting to me, because I'm not a gamer, and when I do game, I'm very, very picky on what I devote my time to, so trying to balance all that and make sure that I'm not dead by the end of Gen Con, because if I'm going to die due to a convention, Gen Con's going to be it, and I'd rather not, so. So, if anyone's got any suggestions or anything else for Gen Con, if anybody knows that, there's a cool game coming out that I really need to go check out, please send us a message. If anyone was at InConJunction and wants to give in their 2 cents of the weekend, please do so, or anything else that we've discussed, feel free to do so. Easiest way to do that is go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can send us an email or find links to all our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also links to the Goodreads book club. So go join in the discussion for this month's book. Go vote for next month's book. You've got plenty of time to do that. Also links to our Amazon affiliate link. So like I said, if any of the books that I've mentioned or will list in the show notes, you want to buy, and you buy via Amazon, please do so via our affiliate link. We do get a small kickback from Amazon for any purchases you make via that link, and it does not cost you any more. You can even use Amazon Prime if you want, and it doesn't even have to be books. Chauncey just bought stuff to work on his car and used the affiliate link, so it still counts. He bought, like tools and car parts through Amazon. Still counts. So, thanks, Chauncey. Also links to our Patreon. So, thanks to all our Patreon supporters. Every dollar that you send our way goes right back into the show. And we are oh so grateful for your financial support. If you want Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, if you want a shirt or sticker with our lovely logo on it, you can also find the link to our merch. And we do get a small commission from any of that you purchase. So we are very grateful to anyone who decides to financially support us in any manner. If you can't or don't want to financially support us, the best way to support us is to make sure that you leave us a review and a rating on whatever format you listen to us, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Leave us a rating and review on Facebook. That helps a ton too. Any thumbs up, 5 stars, kudos you send our way helps. That's the word I'm looking for. Helps, I guess, elevate us to be seen by those who may not know about us. I guess, is that a good way of putting it? So there is that. So we will be back next week talking Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've seen it. It is awesome.
Yes.
It is hilarious. Make sure to stay for the post-credits. Credits? Is it just one or is it 2? I know there's 2 parts, but I can't remember if it was all one thing or if it was 2 separate.
I think it was 2 separate.
It was 2 separate? Okay, so make sure you stay for both post-credit scenes. Well, if you've seen Infinity War, it shouldn't be a surprise. Let's just say. How it happens and who's involved will be a surprise. We'll just leave it at that. So,
yes.
But it is hilarious. So funny. It's definitely a good relief after Infinity War to laugh again that much. So,
Yes.
But we will get into that and more, including spoilers, next episode. So, and after that, Phantom Christmas. So, my body is ready for the onslaught of trailers and teasers that will be coming from San Diego in a couple of weeks. So.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bethlehem saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. I don't mind staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning talking about things I love, just as long as I get to sleep afterwards. Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at Patreon at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to help keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit mymerch.us. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all on the next episode.